So lately I've had an issue whereby I had one of my guests complained about something which really bothered them. And I couldn't help but think about how do you actually systematize the process of resolving issues for your guests within your Airbnb. And when I really thought about this whole process, it came down to about 6 key steps, which are called the issue resolution loop. I hope you guys like that name. Yeah? Alright. So the essence of it all comes down to 3 main themes, which is understanding what the issue is, resolving the issue, and dealing with what happens beyond the issue resolution. Yeah. So let me go into the details in terms of what I think would be the best approach that you should follow around handling complaints, issues, or any other matters that come up within your Airbnb hosting experiences. Okay. So the first thing, step number 1 that you need to do is to understand what the issue is, right? And it's very important for you not to internalize or personalize what's going on at that moment. So have an open mind in terms of understanding what the issue is, right? So that whatever happens, whether it's your fault or the guest's fault, you make sure that you understand what has happened and what now needs to be done in order for you to resolve that. So first things first, understand properly what the issue is. Don't just ask because you want to start putting blame, but understand, ask specific questions, open-ended questions, so that you really understand what's going on, what has happened for the guest to be complaining about something, right? And then number 2, which is the one which is the hardest for most people, is if there is any way, shape, or form that this issue could be pinned down to something that you either haven't prepared for, haven't done, or what you've neglected in any way, shape, or form, if there is a slight possibility that this could be your fault, right? Take responsibility and acknowledge to say, you know what, this is something that shouldn't have happened. I, as your host, should have made sure that you were taken care of, or this is something that you should never have been thinking about or worrying about, right? That's number 2. Very, very important. If this is the guest's fault, then you obviously adjust, but it's not your opportunity for you to start blaming the guest, saying, you messed up my place or whatever. That's not the idea. The idea is what comes next after that is, because regardless of whether it's your fault or the guest's fault, this issue still needs to be resolved, right? Which brings me to the 3rd step that you need to follow, which is you commit to resolving the issue. This is where you communicate to the guest that whether it's your fault or my fault, I'm committing to resolving this issue. So if there's something that needs to be fixed, you're committing to either get yourself in there and fixing it, or getting somebody to come in and fix it, right? That's very, very important. This is how you go from a guest which is highly emotional, highly aggravated, angry, etc., to somebody that calms down, because you're now taking leadership and you're taking control of the situation to say, this is what I'm going to do to fix it, and you tell them this is what I'm going to do. You don't have to go into the details, but you give them a broad overview in terms of what the actual steps that are going to happen are going to. Okay, that's very, very important, right? And then the 4th step is to actually fix the issue. This is when you resolve whatever the issue is. So take steps, fix the issue. Now, because you've managed expectations to say, this is what I'm going to do, by when and whatever, and you're providing feedback at all times, the guest does not feel like you are neglecting and you're right? They feel like this is something that you've acknowledged and this is something that you're taking care of. And you do take care of it, guys, right? If this is something that you can't immediately sort out, you need to communicate that to the guest through the previous step, which is why it's so important, okay? And then, this is key, once you have sorted it out, you provide feedback to say, hey, this is what was actually happening, and we did A, B, and C to resolve the issue. So this is where you're giving feedback as to the steps that you've taken in order for you to resolve the issue. Okay? And then number 6, the last step, which most people forget about and then they mess up, which is this. Once you've resolved the issue and the issue is no longer there, right? Whether the guest is going to give you 1 star or like a horrible rating on Booking.com or Airbnb, it doesn't matter. You invite the guest at a later stage to enjoy the benefits of that issue being resolved. So if there was something, your place was dirty, or if there was an issue with the check-in process or whatever, you say, you know what, remember that one issue that you resolved? Thank you so much for raising it. It doesn't matter that they gave you a bad rating. Don't take that personally. It's probably your fault for the bad rating, right? You say, thank you so much for raising that issue, because if it wasn't for you, I would never have been able to fix that issue. So I'm glad that you have, because you saved me a lot of money and a lot of headache in terms of losing money in the future, because you got me to focus on this issue and resolve it, right? And you want to say thank you to them and say, you know what, I'm willing to give you X percentage. In certain cases, I've even given a free 1-night stay to that guest, even though they've given me a bad rating. The idea around this is the last thing that the guest thinks of when they think of your place is the new experience versus the old one where there were issues, right? If your place was dirty, the last thing you want is for that guest to be thinking that your place is always dirty, because that's what they're going to be communicating to other friends of theirs, families, or whoever could potentially become a guest. That's number 1. But number 2 is you also set a new precedence as somebody that takes care of issues as and when they occur, right? And you do something about fixing those issues, which is a very important notion for any guest to have about you and your place. You know, issues will always happen. Sometimes they're completely out of your control, but what matters is what you do about those issues. And this is something that they will communicate to the circles, to say, hey, that's somebody, if you have an issue and you communicate it to him, it's going to take care of it, which is going to help you in terms of getting more people, right? In certain cases, when this guest comes back for the second time, they could now give you a positive rating and say that even though I wasn't happy with the initial visit in terms of what happened, I'm happy now and I'm thrilled because this guy is somebody that's taking care of the issue, and this is not something that is going to occur, right? And the last bonus one is to put a system in place so that the issue never happens again. If there's an issue with your cleaning, or if there's an issue about your check-in, this is an opportunity to review the whole process around what led to the issue and make sure that you create by design a process that will ensure that that never happens again. This way, you never have to deal with this one thing again ever. I hope this makes sense. And those are the 6 steps, right? Number 1 is you understand what the issue is. Number 2 is you acknowledge and take responsibility, full responsibility if it's your fault. Number 2 is you commit and communicate to resolving the issue. Number 4 is you resolve the issue, you fix it. Number 5 is you communicate the fact, you give feedback around the fact that this issue has been sorted out. And number 6 is you invite the guest to experience your Airbnb beyond the issue, after the issue has been resolved. And the last one, which is number 7 if you like, but I like adding this one as an extra one, right? Which is to make sure that you by design make sure that the issue never happens again. I hope you've gained value from this. My name is Seth, that's my name, and I'm the co-founder of Think Property, and we are deep in discussing our Airbnb experiences. We're going to be sharing a whole lot more around this subject. I hope you guys are tuned in.